What is good with y'all boys, man? Today I'm going to be explaining to you how to install dual SKAR VD-12s into your 2016 F150. Let's get right into it. That's the amp rack so far. Everything's mounted down. So then we're going to drill some holes depending on where these wires lay. I'm going to be drilling holes like all around this, and then I'm going to run the wires like the RCA cables. Everything's going to be zip tied down to the sheet of OSB right here, and the amp rack will be done. All right, this is where I'm at so far with the wiring. I got the RCA cables ran. I got drilled holes in the sheet of OSB here, and I got all the zip ties ran up through. And then I don't know when I'm going to tighten these down yet. I just want to make sure everything's correct first, and then I'll start zip tying these all down. But that's where we're at so far. Then when you get up to the front of the truck here, when I tell you this is like the hardest thing to get through, there's let's see if we can see it right down in there. It's an accessory hole, and you got this little cap over it. And I just took a torch and I heated up my blade on my knife, and I just let it kind of sink right through here. And I mean, I was trying to hack away at it for probably take me 10 minutes to try to get through it. But when you have your power cable right here, you got to run this end through it first and run it up through there. Then there's a little spot under here by your fuse box. There's a fuse box cover. You take the fuse box cover off, you run it. I'm trying to find a metal hanger to kind of bend straight, and then I'm gonna tape it around this, and then I'll be able to poke that all the way through the front, run it down here, and then once I get it poking out here, you can just kind of pull this up, and you can slide the power wire under there. Then you run it all the way back, and you go through this B pillar, and these are just little clips right here. They just clip in, and you can just get your fingers on there. You don't even need a flathead or nothing. You can just pry it all open, or pry it up, and then it comes off. And then same thing with the B pillar. There's clip right here. That's the first main one. Then you pull this up, and then like the whole thing's loose. You can run it under the B pillar. Then when you get back to here, you do the same thing. On that side, you run it all the way back here, and you grab your hanger, and then you pull it. Then right here, this is now we're at the back side of the truck here, and you pop this up too. It's the same thing. It's got these little clips. Pop this up, and then you can tuck that power cord under here with your fingers. You can just lift this up, tuck it all under there, and then my mounting point for my amp is going to be over there. And I got plenty of storage here, and then I got all this room here for the dual 12s, and then this is a power inverter. We're not going to worry about that. And that's all storage and stuff too. So I got my metal hanger right there, taped it on with electrical tape. You got to make sure you don't lose this piece while you're trying to fish it through this hole here, otherwise that sucks. So I mean, this is definitely a long power wire. We're gonna run it through here, and then once I fish it through the firewall, then we'll go inside the passenger side door there, and we'll start running it down there through the fuse box. All right, so it is the next day, and I got this power wire finally ran through here. This, when I tell you, it was a pain in the ass. It was a pain in the ass. Like I work on a lot of dirt bikes, and I re-grease bearings and shit all the time. So I got this like bearing grease, and it's just an insane lubricant. So I was like, well, I'm gonna try to use that. I kind of greased the hole down in there a little. I got some like on the back of my fingernail, and I got down in there, and I like pushed it up in there. And then I got my hanger on this side right here. The first time I used about that much of a hanger, and I couldn't get my vice grips up there far enough to where I could be able to grab it and pull it back down. So I cut me a longer one, and I used electrical tape, and I just kind of took a torch and heated it down just a little so it stick really, really good. And then you gotta have your buddy or whoever grab this on this side, pull this straight down through the firewall hole there, while you have you or your buddy, whatever, you get this flathead and you get right on this accessory hole. You kind of pry it up and then you feed the power wire down through there, and then the grease will get picked up by this power wire when you pull it through, and then it'll lubricate the hole while you pull it all the way through. And then I was getting desperate, and I took a wire hanger and I put it on this side, and I try to feed this through the inside of the cab up through the firewall this way, and that did not work because it's impossible to see this accessory hole way up here from the inside down there in the cab looking up. So I'll pull this through, and then I'll show you how to tuck it in the foot jams and in the B pillar. All right, so I got this pulled all the way through here, and this is my fuse box right here. I got a little bit of slack because up here I left some extra just in case, but I'll show you how to do it in a second. But we gotta splice into this, cut this right here, and then we gotta add our fuse box right here next to the battery. If something goes wrong with your power source, which is your battery, and it arcs or it's lighting up or this is getting hot or something's arcing to a ground somewhere, you'll blow this fuse before you burn up your wiring, or basically you may even start a fire back into your cab where it goes to your amp. You can burn up your amp, you can burn up your LC2i Pro, your line out converter, and then your wiring will basically go to shit. And on the truck's fuse box right here, we have it ran down. Then I got it tucked under this right here, and then I ran it in this foot jam under these zip ties. These were already here. I just kind of poked my metal hanger through there, and I pulled the lead, and I had all my lead here, and then I restrung it back through here through the B pillar. Nothing goes up into here for this power wire. This is just ran back into there, and then back here it's tucked under the B pillar right here. So once you got this popped out, you can just kind of tuck it under here with your fingers, and then you run this power wire through here. And then I don't know if it's like this for all trucks, but I found like there's like a little slit right here, so this wire can be relaxed and not be like pinched between the carpet and the trim. So yeah, these are like just clips, and they pop in just like that. And then there's like this little slit here. It's perfect. You run it here, go behind the power inverter, and then I'm going back through here through the seat bolt, and then it's going to be back where my amp rack's going to be behind these two seats. So also I forgot to add this piece right here. This piece is just kind of two little rivets. There's sunlight right there's one, and then there's another one right there, and you just kind of pop those out, and then you can get your hand back here and pull it down, and this whole thing will come down. Then you can see better up into the grommet to access the accessory hole on your firewall. When you get it all ran, you just pop these rivets back in, and there's a couple snap clips back there, and they just clip in, and then all your wiring's hid back there. You can't even see your power wire through there. And then once you get that done, come down here, you clip these back in, and then you can install your foot jam right back on, all like that. And then it's all in there, can't pull it out, and that's all good. It's all tucked in, you can't even see power wire. All right, once you get your power cable ran all the way back here, you can cut off your hanger and your electrical tape. We won't need that no more. All right, we got our amp rack right here, and we got our ground ready to be installed. Then our positive, our 12 volt constant ready to be installed. And then over here I got my speaker wires on the 2016 Ford F-150. Let's see here, the green and white wire is the positive, and the whatever reddish tan kind of color that is, and the yellow, that is the negative. So you run with those, then you add your speaker 16 gauge speaker wire, and then once you got to kind of make sure you got a good connection on these. So what I did was I took wire strippers, and I stripped open like a 1/4 inch space of where I can get to the wires, and then I wrapped my additional speaker wires, I wrapped them around it twisted them up, and then I got this electrical liquid tape, and you kind of just dab a little bit of it on there, and then it's liquid at first, and then you let it dry for a little while, and it adheses the two wires together, and then it allows for electrical current to run through. And then on top of that, I use electrical tape, and I wrapped it around them, and then I used a little torch here and just kind of heated it up just a little bit so the adhesive on the tape would stick a lot better, and then it formed up pretty good. Then after I did that and got all those twisted in together, ran them down here, and then I got the perfect amount of my main power wire left back here. So I was at work a couple weeks ago, and I got back here with the wire wheel, and I cleaned up all the paint off down there, and then this little piece slides over it like this, and there's this little rivet right here, and it goes right down in that hole right there, and just kind of clips in there. And then there's where's that nut at? Then there's this seat bolt nut with this. It's an 18 millimeter, and then it's got that washer in it, and then that screws down on top. So that's where I'm going to run my grounds right there. And on this piece, I took, let's see here, this piece right here, I made sure to clean the top of it, the bottom of it right here, and then the actual body of the truck here, because I'm going to use this to bolt it back on. So I think I'm going to run my ground right here onto the body of the truck, and then this is also cleaned off, all the paint's cleaned off, and then I'm going to bolt that down and get a tight good ground there. And it's short too. My amp and my LC2i Pro is going to be mounted right here on this sheet of plywood. I'm just sticking it back here, and there's enough room for the seats to fold back up, clip back into the seat latch right here, and then for the seat to fold back down. So I got enough room back here. All right, one thing I forgot to add was make sure you run you a base knob, because I forgot to run mine under here when I had all the shit tore up. So now I got to take all this back off, tuck this base knob wire under the foot jam, through the B pillar, through the other foot jam, and then I got to wire it up to the driver's side, run it under here. Then I can tuck it up under here and mount it somewhere over there. But make sure you run this before you put all this back together. Alrighty, once you get the speaker wires that you splice into up here, run them down the B pillar into the foot jam. You run it back down to this back side of this pillar. Tuck it all under here. This is still on clip. Same thing, it's just clips here, and there's a couple under here and here. You just get a flat head under here, and you can pry it. Make sure when you pry it that you're not like on this wiring trying to pry down into the wiring. Make sure you can get it on this side of the carpet or down here on this side of the body, right here, and then pry it up, and these clips will clip out. Then kind of just run this. It's kind of hard, it's real tight down through here, but this is only 16 gauge wire, so you can run it down here, and you can get away with just kind of peeling it up, pushing it on there with your fingernails, and then you get it back here, and it's got enough to reach the LC2i Pro on the speaker inputs. Make sure that if you're on the driver's side, the left side, you have to run these wires. Make sure you do the left positive and negative when you do your speaker inputs here. Just leave the rights alone. So all we're using here for this, what I'm doing here, is the lefts, positive and negative. So I got the B pillar all put back together. All this ran, this tucked back in. Right here, just got to take this piece. Yep, and these rivets here, and this space is on the outside. The rivets are inside there. Boom, that clicks all down like that, and that's good. And where are we at here? All right, so I got my speaker wire, my left speaker wire inputs right here ran down, and these are what's ran down in this pillar, foot jam, into the factory speaker wires right here in the B pillar. Then right now what I'm doing is running the positive and negative speaker wires from the amplifier straight down to the subs, the positive and negative on the subs back here in the port. There's a port on this back side. Install those. Then RCA cables, those haven't changed, those are still the same. I got my constant 12-volt power connected. I got my ground connected, and the ground runs with the same ground that comes to, this is the ground right here. It's the same ground that runs into the amplifier, and those are grounded at the same spot down there. Then yeah, I got my power wire ran from the battery. From there, I got to install the fuse box up there, and then it's ran all the way down under there. Then it's ran up there. It's backside back behind this sheet, and then there's a seat bolt down here that I showed earlier. It's just pushed right behind that, wraps around, and the length is perfect. I mean, it fits perfectly. One thing I wish I would have done was when you get this in here, I would, like earlier in the video, I had this LC2i Pro, this line output converter mounted to the amp rack, along with the amplifier mounted to the amp rack. Before I had any of this wiring on here, I would put it in to where you're going to fit it up first and make sure that it fits. I got lucky with it. And this piece I can just kind of push up a little, and it slid right under it, and it holds it pretty damn good. And this is where the seat latch is. This little gap right here, that's where this latch is in. And for these 2016 F150s, when you got to put the seat back up, you got to make sure that you have enough room back here, because the seats have to come up and back to latch this, and then you fold the seats down and then they push back. So you got to make sure you got enough room back here with your amplifier and your LC2i Pro. Make sure that your amp rack is going to fit back here and have good ventilation. All right, and then once you make sure you got power, you're going to have a little red light right here on the active line output converter. You're going to have a little red light, shows you got power. Then on your amp, my amp's got a blue light showing I have constant power. Then once you got those lights, to start tuning it, make sure on your main amplifier you have your gain turned down. It's one of these down here, your gain right there. Make sure you have that turned down at first when you're tuning everything. Then your bass level, make sure I would just turn this all the way down and then turn it all the way back up, just so you get a feel for it and you know where you're at with it. And then you can set that at as you please. This is the main bass. So like if you're turning it up, this is like how deep the bass is and how loud it is. Then this is your AccuBass. So on the newer audio systems, there's a system where when you're turning up the volume on your head unit, when you're turning it up, when you get to a certain spot where you're continuously turning it up but it's not getting louder, the newer systems have what they call bass roll off. So when you're turning it up, it rolls off on the bass and on the audio overall, to save the inexpensive factory speakers. So what you want to do is on your AccuBass, you got this level and threshold. You want to, and you have a maximum light right here. So you can max these out, and then once you max them out, you're gonna have this maximum light will come on, and then you want to back them off like a quarter turn. And then you want to play a song that you're familiar with, so that you can hear when you're turning it up to where it stops getting louder as you're continuously turning up. And then you're gonna want to tune this AccuBass to it so that it'll restore your audio and get it to the threshold where you want to be. All right, and then to get your load select settings, your trigger mode, and your ground isolation, I have mine on, for my load select, I have it on 60 ohms. And then on my trigger mode, I have it on GTO, which is a great turn on mode. My ground isolation, I have 200 ohms of resistance. So this is what works best for my model and everything that I have, the way that I have it set up. If you try to run these settings on yours and it works, great. If it doesn't, if you're having some issues, just look it up on Google, the exact definitions of these, and it'll tell you what each of them do. And if you're getting any kind of weird signal or anything coming through your speakers, just look it up and what it could be. And then you don't necessarily have to get into any of the rewiring, anything. You can just kind of fix that by a flip of a switch. So, yep. And so if you're having on GTO, great turn on. Have it set on GTO, and basically whenever I have my keys and I hit the unlock button and I get in and I turn my key on, it turns it on its own. GTO, I think the definition of it is when it senses signal coming through your speaker wires that run to it, it tells it to turn on and it turns on. But mine, basically, when I put my key in the ignition and I turn it on, this comes on, everything comes on. And I sat in my truck and ran a timer. You just get in the truck and then lock the doors and everything, and then I just ran a timer and sat next to it until it turned off, and it took 2 minutes and like 30 something seconds for everything to shut down, and it stayed off. Then when I got out and locked the truck and I peeked back in 2 minutes and however long later, it was off. Everything turned off. So everything's worked good so far. My battery has been just fine. My battery hasn't died. Nothing's shorting out. Everything's been working good, and I'm about a week into having this thing all set up. So everything's working good for me. And whenever I turn it on, turn my truck on, everything comes on as it should. And then when I turn my truck off, it all shuts off 2 minutes later. So, yep. And yeah, so I mean, they work great. Everything, you know, I get all the vibrations on the console. Like, you can set your phone face down on here. You can set the bass knob right there, and it'll vibrate until shit falls off. You can put water bottles here, and it'll vibrate, and they fall over. I got all the mirror shakes anybody could want. The whole mirror shakes. Even the passenger side and the driver's side mirror, everything shakes. So they bump, and they work great. So definitely recommend dual SKAR VD-12s for 2016 F150. Alrighty guys, and that's all I got for the video today. Let me know if you guys got any questions in the comments down below. And yeah, whatever questions you got, I'll try to answer best I can. And yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, boys.